We have the footage.
And greetings, everybody. Keith here. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. You got the like, share, and subscribe button down there for everybody that wants to help support the channel. And of course, there's a PayPal link in the details section for anybody who wants to share some love. Every little bit helps, and it's certainly appreciated. The StreamYard link is down there for anybody who wants to jump up on panel. And we did a stream not too long ago, just this last week, I believe, in regards to the Global Postal Trust, the real post office, or the post office. And I told everybody in that video I was going to do a couple more reviews. And this is that next video that we're going to review is the private blockchain tactics. Another video I did in regards to my site on the internet and how to set it up for a private point of origin. And that's all I've really got right now is just the private point of origin. But as that private point of origin, there's an expression of the trust. There's a declaration of the trust. And it's got all kinds of nice opinions. It's even got my own code and language. And one of those, the declaration of trust is in that code first and then translated into English. So there's twice it's said on the record in the declaration. All kinds of things that I've implemented in construction of this particular point of origin. And it relates directly to that private blockchain, which also relates to what everybody knows as cryptocurrency. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you how this electronic system is today's modern credit currency. And that's what cryptocurrency is. So we're going to take a look at some things here. Let me get my screen up. And the first thing we're going to look at is the, what is it? The Treaty of Berne. And what I want everybody to pay attention to, this is very first thing on there is a number, okay? Now this number on a 48-page document is then followed by multilateral. That is not unilateral, nor is it bilateral. This is multilateral, and any multilateral agreements have a implied sovereignty. And don't believe me, folks. Don't believe the neighbor. Don't believe the government. Don't believe your mother, for crying out loud. But look this stuff up. The Berne Convention for the Protection of Literary and Artistic Works of September 9th, 1886. Completed at Paris on May 4th, 1896, revised at Berlin on November 3rd, 1908, completed at Bern on March 20th, 1914, revised at Rome on June 1928, revised at Brussels on June 26, 1948, and revised at Stockholm on July 14th, 1967, with protocol regarding developing countries. Remember the protocols we went over, right? That's the Constitution of Universal Postal Union and its final protocols that we went over. Regarding that, their position is to develop and improve communication amongst the people of the countries. And these are relating to developing countries. Like I said, it may be established in fact, but we're still in a development phase. So there are certain things that can't be required yet as we're still developing. But in the meantime, we still have those plenary powers. And why is that? Because we have protection of literary and artistic works, which goes to the intellectual properties. It says registered by the Director General of the World Intellectual Property Organization, acting on behalf of the parties. Who are the parties then? If this is creating a protection for the literary and artistic works of the creators, aren't the creators the parties, and this property organization is acting on behalf of those parties? Multilateral. Da 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 da. That's just the French translation. Remember, it's written in French, right? That was the language that was determined in those protocols. French. The countries of the Union being equally animated. Are you guys understanding the importance of that term there? In the definition of 7 U.S.C. 136, animal includes but is not limited to man. So would that maybe even possibly include person? Isn't it what most people believe, that it's the person that's animated? Isn't that why everybody's performing and acting? Performing the functions of? Remember those full powers, having full powers by desire to protect. By desire to protect. In as effective and uniform a manner as possible. The law is uniform throughout all jurisdictions, all the way from the Treaty of Berne, all the way down to the Uniform Commercial Code. And those uniformed policy enforcers. See, they're enforcing a policy in one of the jurisdictions that is less than under the jurisdiction of, what is it? Creation. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. He's the one that created everything, good and bad. It is only through him that man was able to develop an intellect to create some kind of code to be able to express it to somebody else. In the rights of the authors, your yea be yea and your nay be nay, in their literary and artistic works. So the words that you use to support your yea and your nay, you have to make sure those are true and correct and have actual credence. They're not implications or assumptions or presumptions or beliefs. Again, do not believe me. Do not believe your neighbor, the government, or your mother, for crying out loud. Do your research so you can discern for yourself through the proper authority of the words. That's where the authority comes from. If you run around, and I've said it many times, a man's intellect is limited and biased by his own vocabulary. So if you run around babbling, most people with some kind of comprehension will see you for the babbler that you are. They will see you for the lies and the inebriated speech that you use. Have resolved to revise and to complete the act signed at Berne on September 9th, 1886. Da 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 da. So it's a revision. United Nations Treaty Series. So it's a treaty upon all of those involved in the United Nations. It's part of those protocols. Then we're going to take a look. Let me check the studio first. Okay. And again, that link is down there for anybody who wants to join the panel. Always appreciate it. So the next one, remember, the Constitution of the Universal Postal Union is the primary source document at the international level through the UN. The United States is a corporate entity under the United States of America. United States of America is the one that chartered the United States as an incorporated entity under the UN. Okay? So under the United States of America and the Constitution thereof for the United States of America by and through the United States, we have Article 1, Section 8, Clause 8.1, Overview of Congress's power over intellectual property. This is right in there with Article 1, Section 8, Clause 1, 3, 7, 14, 17, when they have these commercial processes that can only be enacted by Congress of laying, collecting taxes, duties, and imposts and excises, which is martial law, which chiefly affects the police and the collection of public revenue and taxes, da 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 da. And it says the Congress shall have power to promote the progress of science and useful arts by securing for limited times to authors and inventors the exclusive right to their respective writings and discoveries. And as we've been talking about the copyright laws and Samuel Clemens protecting his writings under the authorship of Mark Twain for third-person personalities such as Tom Sawyer, Huckleberry Finn, and all of the different characters that he wrote about, that's now 70 years. It all relates to Article 1, Section 8, Clause 8, your right to be your yea be your yea, your nay be your nay, and your right to express it, the other people's right to know it, and that is the right to be heard. The right to broadcast and the right to narrowcast. The Intellectual Property Clause, IP Clause, empowers. So it's not a power that they have themselves. Okay, this is a delegated power from the Constitution of the Universal Postal Union under that corporate charter that empowers the corporation, Congress, to grant authors, because we have no federal or republic Congress. Congress walked out sin die. So we have a republic if we can keep it. We lost it by losing the Congress. Congress walked out sin die. If the people want a de jure government again, they have to go back to that republic form of government and provide a Congress. Because right now we have a Congress that is incorporated and gets paid for that office. We have to have people that will fill those offices out of good faith, in full credit, full faith and credit, giving all credit to God. Therefore, Romans 13:1 kicks in. There is no power but that which is ordained of God. I'm only doing a job that I was intended as. I took my first breath of life, making a man a living soul and being a prophet unto the nations. That's what I'm supposed to do, according to what is written in those scriptures, and my interpretation thereof that matches closest with what's in my heart. Congress to grant authors and investors exclusive rights. See, that's a fallacy. Again, if you're not going to give all credit to God and accept the position that you're just a pass-through. So no matter what pen name you want to put it in, whether it be the legal name that the state translated from the given name and family name, it doesn't matter. Again, remember, God doesn't have a last name, does he? Not that I know of. I don't even know. But as far as it's been expressed, it throughout history, when you go back to the origins, everybody just had a name. And it was usually given by somebody external. It wasn't something that somebody created themselves and turned around and asked other people to call them by that. My yea be my yea, my nay be my nay. My name is brother. Please just call me brother. In their writings and discoveries for limited times. Writings and discoveries. So I can take somebody else's writings, even if it is copyrighted, and for educational purposes, to express my artistic interpretation of that literary work and express it in a different way. Not necessarily a different form, at least a different way, a conversion. And so long as I let that credit go to the original source so that people understand that conversion, then I've done nothing but express what goes through my mind. Pay attention to the words I'm using, people, please. And we've got Russell and Iman. How are we doing tonight, folks?
Doing well, doing well.
Good to hear, good to hear.
You say I, man? Oh, yeah, I see.
Yeah, sister,
Yes,
I'm
beloved, I'm here with you, beloved. I don't know if you saw some of the things I posted in LL this day, and you are speaking on it right now, so it's divinely ordered again, brother.
So we got some more synchronicity, yeah.
I'm just the messenger.
Absolutely. All right, well, let's get back to it then, because as we said, there's Article 1, Section 8, Clause 8, as we saw with the Treaty of Berne, it's correlating and saying the same thing. This clause provides the foundation for the federal copyright and patent systems. Systems. When we think of systems, I hope you guys understand there is no other system other than a record-keeping system, an accounting system. It's the accounting. Is it your accounting or is it somebody else's accounting? Now, my mom and dad gave me the name Keith, and they also gave me a second name attached to it with a hyphen grammatically as Orland. And then, of course, I hail from the family Little. Now, those are all names that came from externally. What do I feel is a true expression of my talents? So again, I urge everybody just to call me brother. With a parallel construction that divides into two parts, one for each form of intellectual copyrights. As to copyrights, Congress may grant authors exclusive rights to their writings in order to promote the progress of science. Okay, so it's still a promotion of science. Why do you think they promote Aristotle and all these people that have these theologies and philosophies and everything like that? You know, I made a comment on a panel one night. You know, this is my true belief as far as my discernment goes, without or with all the experiences in my life, is that I truly think that the true intent of education is that we are able to comprehend. We each have this ability to develop our own philosophy, independent from all others, because we are unique in our experiences. And that's why this diversity thing says that we're supposed to be open-minded. And when we come to be closed-minded and start restricting things, and this goes to this copyright and patent again, why would you make a copyright claim? Again, understand the wording in the disclaimer of the UPU's own copyright on my website. It's telling us that they really make no claim as to what's true or not. That's for your own discernment. The progress of science at the time of the framing referred to the creation and spread of knowledge and learning. Okay, the creation and spread of knowledge. So again, if there's a diverse class of people that have varied experiences throughout their life, and one of them happens to come upon a unique method of solving a particular recurring problem that we all face, something like a broken chain or something simple like that. They come up with something that bears the burden of that stress of breaking a chain by lasting a much longer time, or even professed eternal sometimes, or coming up with a greater bond of some sort. That's the true intent of teaching a man how to fish. Maybe one day we'll find a better way of fishing. That's the progress of education. That's the benefit of knowledge. That's why knowledge is the true and only benefit. It's truly the only thing that we can experience-wise, gradually help others experience the same things that at certain points might seem unique. But in their uniqueness, they provide a progression of something greater, a greater prosperity or abundance. This is why it's important to express ourselves and why it's important to be able to recognize our right to know. So let's continue on. If anybody's got anything to say, again, just stop me. The second one is as to patents. So we have the two things that they mentioned was copyrights and patents. And that's the thing of divided into two parts. So again, if it's already patent, latent and patent, those are the opposing dynamics as it goes to the language. Latent is underlying. Patent, as it's properly pronounced, is overlying. Okay? So one has two parts already. It has a counterpart. We have to recognize that. And again, the one thing that's in common with all is the creation. And that's where the true credit comes from, because it does provide that counterpart. That's why we have to use those counterparts as a balancing mechanism. That's why we have to rise up against the those that would condemn us or place false judgments and condemn that. We have to know that tongue so we can counterbalance that tongue. That's the as to the creation. Okay? The creation and spread of knowledge. We have to include that in that creation. And again, that's what brings in that multilateral. Multilateral has implied sovereignty. There's a base foundation for all of it. You have to give all credit back to that base foundation. Everybody inherently knows this simple fact in their heart, for the most part. There are some psychopaths out there that say otherwise. It's been said. So we continue on. It says, as to patents, Congress may grant inventors. Inventors. What is invent? Isn't that the inventory? Isn't that relative to inventory? Remember how this language works, folks. So an inventor is one that might create an inventory, a list of things. Now that inventory happens to be a list of things that are in my possession. Now those things, you might call it a car or an automobile, but I know a lot of classic car collectors that have personal names. You understand that? Personal names for their antiques. They invent their own names. See, I named my wife, as most people call her. I call her my companion. And I gave her my own choice name because it was my own choice. And her real name, her given name, as they call it, is Joyce. And I just simply renamed her Choice. Choyce instead of Joyce. She's my choice. It's a unique communication that I invented. And I assert it orally and literally. Exclusive rights to their discoveries in order to promote the progress of useful arts. Our Father, who art in heaven. Oof. That's the most useful art. And I fear not, for he has redeemed me. He's called me by thy name. I am his. That is to encourage technological innovation, advancement, or social benefit. Or social benefit. What's this innovation? What's a novation? What's a novation, guys? Anybody? chat panel? It's relative to the navel. That's the nativity. You provide a novation. A novation is a unique firstness. It's novel. You're muted, sister. It's novel. Like this viral thing that the people have been suffering from for the last 3 years. That medical viral thing. That was a novel idea. That's for damn sure. You know what I mean? Disciple of the Messiah says, got some novation down here as a noun in church history. One of the sect of Novatists or Novatianists who held that the lapsed might not be received again into communion with the church and that second marriages are unlawful. Yeah, that's it. That language is pretty twisted because when you look at that, at least in my eyes, the way I interpret that, we're looking at being received again. First thing I think about is the second coming of Christ. So it would have to make for a good question to ask what the final discernment is as to it relates to the first coming and then being received again. I mean, that they did say be received again. Yeah, Noah Webster's 1828 dictionary. Again, a dictionary is a list of definitions, which is just another man's opinion. And so you have to take upon their discernment as your own discernment. And that's the fallacy. We have to start learning how to observe things for ourselves, contemplate them with reason and logic, of course, dismissing the emotions that might come along with that observation, and really set to heart what it truly means. You know, things like eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, but yet we're supposed to turn the other cheek. Is there something being said in that example that alters the example? Yes, most certainly. So maybe you should look at it again through the different adages that we have throughout time that replicate the same things. Again, the scripture is nothing but another dictionary. It's another man's discernment. Now, though some of them are very unique and revered and apostolized, and you know, I again assert that every man really, truly, at his heart, is a good being and has a point of discernment specifically related to just two simple things: right and wrong. And that's the base foundation. So let's get back into this. Unless you got something to say, Russell, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, well, there's the base foundation right there.
Yeah, and that again goes to your yay being your yay and your nay being your nay. But again, where does that come from? Is it coming from their dictates? Is it coming from the dictates of the scripture, or is it coming straight from your heart because what you see in your heart is correlating with certain and various things throughout the various different languages? The law is uniform throughout the jurisdiction. And if the law is derived from the word, then what words match throughout those jurisdictions? Well, I don't know. You got to learn the languages. First point. First point. So, we go on and it says advancement. Remember, what's an advancement? That's a public due as far as I know. That's 12 U.S.C. 411. For advances by Federal Reserve transfer agents and for no other persons are herein set forth. Or social benefit. What tells me there is the benefit is the expression of a trust. So again, we go back to the multilateral part where it says acting on behalf of the parties. So once the trust is established, the grantee has nothing else to do with it. Now it sits in the hands and holdings of the trustee, and their intent and purpose is specifically for on behalf of the parties, and those parties are the beneficiaries.
Well, it's interesting because, through my research with some of these guys, who we're talking about, those commissioners and things, they talk about, in some of the language in that local government, they talk about advancements in the sheriff's department, advancements in this department, advancements in that department. And obviously they got control of the Social Security number, so it's an easy advancement for them.
Well, yeah, and you got to remember, folks, where do they get that? What is it they're advancing, and where do they get that from? See, everything they're advancing is some type of control mechanism, and they get all of that value from the data elements that you give them, and that's what they use against you to control you. Learn how to put in the right data elements so they can't control you, and let them know that you already know their position and they're not supposed to be violating you because of that position as a public trustee in a public service, which is public trust. Pure and simple. So let's get back into it. As we see, relying on the IP clause, Congress has protected copyrights and patents in some form under federal law since 1790. Okay, so they were already protecting copyright laws before this document was even created. Okay, that's how universal this concept is, folks. Before they even created the Treaty of Berne, they were already protecting copyrights and patents. Under the IP clause, copyrights and patents are based on a utilitarian rationale. It's the utilization, and this is what Samuel Clemens argued before Congress. In that, when he went before Congress and he established the fact that his publishings were being violated through the trade laws of Canada, that Canada was getting his publishings prior to the United States of America. The same publishing arrived in Canada months before it did in America, and then Canada took advantage of that time slot in their trade laws, the import-export laws, to mass sell into the Americas before he could. So they could mass buy and then mass sell and make a large profit off of his works without him, and then basically cutting him off from the ability to make that profit himself. So that's why he went before Congress and fought for that, like a generation skipping trust for as far as copyrights and patents go. He qualified that there is definitely a need because of those kind of situations. And that's what we're trying to do today, is just qualify a correction of things because it's definitely needed simply by looking at the record. What do you mean simply by looking at the record? Well, a record reflecting everybody's a resident. Now, who deemed that necessary, and who in their right mind would deem that a resident, a federal, state, or municipal officer or agent would be deemed necessary by the board upon enumeration at birth, saying that they're a resident at that time? Oops. I mean, they're declared a United States citizen through a conference of a nationality, and then that's held against them as if though they're supposed to get a passport in order to leave the country. I don't call that much of a gift. I think we might be okay with carrying some of those documents as long as people understood the concept and used it, utilized it in the appropriating funds, appropriating it correctly, so that those who are supposed to receive pay for that, emoluments for that, through the taxation and insurances and interests and fees and financing and loans, then that be on them. Be it understood that customer agrees to make third-party payment for said consumer so long as it is understood that credit is given to the customer's account in exchange for said grant. Easy language, folks. So let's get back to it. That exclusive rights are necessary to provide incentives to create new artistic works and technological inventions. I don't say so. I think a mother of necessity is the invention. Not the need to be exclusive, because again, it's a matter of learning how to fish better. It's a better technique for fishing. That's a matter of education, which is the true benefit. Without legal protection, competitors could freely copy such creations, denying the original creators the ability to recoup their investments. So who's going to take an investment from God and try to create a commercial investment in violation of that creation? This is why it's important to say, hey, it all came from God. It's open to the world. This is free education. Anybody can use it. And that kind of prevents them from providing a copyright or patent on it, which is a restriction from somebody else being able to use the same technique, same method. In time and effort, reducing the incentive to create in the first place. I beg to pardon again. It's the commercial system and its convenience that reduces the willingness and need or desire to be creative. It's the willingness of our parenting to automatically just put that on somebody else through the public education system, or even through the churches, through youth ministry classes. Why are we not doing that stuff ourselves? Because it's convenient of the commercial system, even in those churches where they pass around that plate. Hypocrisy. And it's you doing your own self. Again, I've been my own bitch-ass slave all my life. I've been the fucking fool all my life. I've been the one that misunderstood this shit. I'm the one that didn't get a higher education by going beyond high school, by not doing my own damn research. Again, I'm not asking you to believe me. Don't believe your neighbor. Don't believe the government. Don't believe your mother, for crying out loud. Start doing your research. That's where the learning comes in. That's your right to know. And if you give up that right to know, none of it ever makes a difference, only to you. That's why we sit here and argue with everybody, because we're not open-minded enough to accept that this diverse realm that we're in has all kinds of creations being made every day. There's newer and better ways. That's all it is. It's not that anybody's doing anything right or wrong, or one thing is worse or better. It's that there's a better way to help everybody. And that's simply done that through that education. The IP clause thus reflects an economic philosophy. Again, because it's a commercial incentive. Understand that word, incentive. Are you innocent, or are you being driven through some vehicular language by some devious or deceptive incentive? Again, listen to the words I speak. That the encouragement of individual efforts by personal gain is the best way to advance public welfare through the talents of authors or investors. So again, I rebut this because that's a false ideology. Encouragement of individual effort by personal gain is the best way? No. I expect, and I don't argue one bit that there aren't many people out there like myself. What I have is yours. Doesn't necessarily have to return from you to me. Therefore, it doesn't say that what yours is mine. What I'm saying is what I have is yours. My cup overwelleth. I have plenty as far as what it comes to needs. So I have no personal gain in anything anymore. Again, when you understand the concept is the knowledge, that's where your true gain is, and that's the only thing that can help you in that gain. Where are you going to get that? Are you going to get that by believing somebody else, or are you going to learn to do your research so you can learn how other people express themselves so you can discern for yourself what is the best expression? It's like valuing a piece of art. I see a lot of art out there that I wouldn't put that much value in. So where does that value come from? It comes from an incentive. So what does that value have as an incentive in that commercial system? None to me. None. I don't care for it. The true value, again, is expressing to you people that the true valuation comes from yourself, your yay be yay and your nay be nay. But it also comes from what? And if you keep saying somebody else, I can tell that you're going to be probably no good to me unless you are able to discern that what you're getting from that someone else and why you reflect that, why you think that someone else is particularly more true and correct as somebody else or even myself. And this is why we have to understand the Socratic debates and stuff, folks. That's a proper expression of our intellectual property. That's literally protected. Okay? Inventory. Can you tell them your yay? Can you tell them your nay? Can you express why it's that? What is the foundation, my Father which art in heaven? What name are you calling me again? And why is it me you're calling that name? The framers included the IP clause in the Constitution to facilitate. Remember, we just talked about facilitate. A uniform national law governing patent and copyrights. In the framers' view, the states could not effectively protect copyrights or patents separately. Under the patchwork, remember I've talked about dispatch. Under the patchwork state law system that prevailed in the Articles of Confederation, period. It's no longer that period, but it's still the Articles of Confederation. It's just now known as Articles of Incorporation. Creators had to obtain copyrights and patents in multiple states under different standards. And this is because under Articles of Incorporation, you have to have a title for your incorporated entity. That title, operating commerce, has to be entrusted. A difficult and expensive process of development. So again, who the fuck are they to limit the word that comes through you so long as that word is true and faithful under God? This is why I urge you, coin your words or purse your lips. That's either to speak the truth and know that that's the truth, or shut the fuck up. Keep asking questions. That undermine the purpose and effectiveness of the legal regime. They're telling you that process being an expense by an incentive, a motive, a commercial incentive, then why would you need that? Isn't it already, remember, this is a two-part process. If it's already patent, then why would you need something underlying, something latent like paperwork that would express it in private behind closed doors or be stuffed in dark drawers where it's not seen until it's required. Isn't it just best to observe that which already is patent and be able to express that as closely to the truth as you can? Effectiveness of the legal regime. Notice they called it a regime. The IP clause is both a grant of power and a limitation. It's a commercial limitation. In other words, those ordinances can create sanctions against you because you're not using the prophet unto the nations as the word of God. You're using the statutory language of their various different grammar styles. And if you don't know how to use it correctly in each location, then you're going to be babbling. And they're going to be able to see it. They're going to see, oh, this guy's crossing all kinds of jurisdictions. He's not sticking to this or that. That's why I always stick with the trust law and expressing the trust in equity. The clause is plain language. Where did we hear that? Plain writing. 5 U.S.C. 301, Department of Defense. Applicable Department of Defense. That's that departmental regulations. Applicable to Department of Defense. And under the Plain Writings Act, they have the requirements for basic minimum birth registration requirements. Requires that the exclusive rights can only persist for limited times. Thus, although the term of protection may be long, Congress cannot provide for a perpetual copyright or patent term. Oops. In perpetuity, it's an irrevocable trust in perpetuity, and Congress cannot provide for a perpetual copyright or patent term. Because everything they put in their realm is a fiction. And it can always be corrected. Eternally. Perpetually. Second, the exclusive rights must promote the progress of science or useful arts. Again, it's a usufruct. In that language, the English language, it's beautiful. It's artistic. And if you learn how to use it, you can tie them all up in it. They're going to lay their own rope. And generally, a lot of times, when people are using somebody else's terms and definitions and saying, well, I got it from here, and this is what I believe, and I'm just doing my job, and blah, blah, you'll have to talk to him. One of them slips up and gets caught up in that rope. Everybody else has got their feet tangled up in that same fucking rope, and everybody can get tangled up.
One big web.
Courts are broadly deferential to Congress. However, as to the means that it uses to achieve this goal. Other constitutional limitations of the IP clause are specific to either copyright or patent law. So if you have something that's already patent, why would you need, understand this, if you have something that's already observable, patent being observable, latent being not directly observable, so one being directly observable, anybody can observe it, okay? So let's use directly observable, and you can look it up. Again, don't believe me, don't believe the neighbor, don't believe the government, don't believe your mother, for crying out loud. All you got to do is punch in patent, definition, patent, etymology. Look through those different sources. Don't look at just the first one. Look through all those different sources and come to your own determination. That simple basic foundation means it's directly observable. So latent is underlying and not directly observable. You have to look for it. You have to open a drawer. You have to look in a file. You have to find out where it's recorded. You have to find out what account it's in. Okay? That's why there's a copyright. There's a goddamn piece of paperwork, a literary piece of work. That literary piece of work is somewhere along the line tied to a patent or a copyright. Even the blank piece of paper. Whoever made it got its permission to make it through some patent holder of the paper process, of making paper. Extended all the way back to Egypt, for crying out loud. So what happens when the Library of Congress and all this system falls down, and we go through this anarchy and world destruction, and a new world rises, but the new population doesn't remember any of this? Are they too going to come up with a copyright and patent law? Are they too going to be this stupid? My yea is my yea, my nay is my nay, because I use the word of God. I was told that I'm born and sanctified and ordained before I was cast from the womb, because he knew me before he formed me in the belly, to be a prophet unto the nations. Do you hear me now? How's that for infant oral? The oral in ventilation. How's that for the breath of life? Isn't that what invent is? You take a breath in your ventilation system, you exhale a breath out of your ventilation system. How's that for a system of record keeping? Akashic record. For example, only works that are original or copyrightable. I am an original, image and likeness. Can I get an amen? Because copyright extends only to the authors of writings. In the context of patent law, only inventions that are novel and non-obvious are patentable. Non-obvious. In other words, they're not observable. Now you can patent them by making them observable. Well, if you can make them observable on your own through word of mouth, can't you do that through word of mouth? Why would you need an international office to do that? And if that's what your intent is to educate the rest of the world, hold on, folks. So, something that is already something you can make observable and don't need a license, don't need a commercial entity to help you do so. And the only reason you would do so is to make a profit off of that. I would think it would be wise to do that privately through your own private marketing. And again, understanding that if anybody else, took advantage of that through the thing, you would have the premier ability for having put it out there in the public first, instead of going through a public entity to make it private. Again, there you're making a claim of a ego in person to make a commercial claim. And that's the last thing we want to do. If there's going to be any commercial claim, it's going to be for the inheritance, so that what you've established and developed in your life can be passed on as an inheritance to your benefactors. And if everybody else had the ability to come in and get their grubby hands on it, then they would be able to take that inheritance. But again, that's if you believe that your inheritance is dependent upon that monetary system, folks. Truly, I think the best way to live in this life is to be the creator and use that mother of invention by observing mother patently for the way we're supposed to. I think that's truly going to get us back to our true talents and better capable of understanding the technology and using that technology for what it is, instead of become becoming engrossed in it and manipulated and monopolized by it. It too is just another invention, folks. It's not yours to really be using as a discernment of God or the creation. Without us, it would have never been created. You think some squirrel is going to start dropping acorns and all of a sudden there's an internet? No, not going to happen. And again, remember, folks, this is a technology that came into existence and all of a sudden, boom. This is one of the greatest advancements of all time, and it truly is a technological industrial revolution that we need to comprehend and do so quickly. Discoveries of inventors. Furthermore, patentable inventions must have some substantial utility, and that's why I say it's a utilitarian system, to promote the progress of useful arts. So one of the things also is to understand the opposing dynamic that we're looking at here is that in beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was God. They can't now alter that and say, well, that's past the copyright law. Okay? So what we're contemplating here, folks, is the fact that things that come naturally, such as the collection of water or the distillation of water through natural processes, can't be subsumed and consumed by some commercial factor that says we can no longer use our own cognitive skills to invent our own little ways of doing the same things that the commercial industries demand. See, again, that's a supply and demand chain. You operate under a creator and command. It's already there. You just have to use your cognitive skills by watching Mama, Mother Nature, the true teacher, and doing as she wills. You can't defeat her. You see a tornado coming, it inherently is instinctual that you should run, hide somewhere, safe. Inherently, that's in holes, in caves. We think houses and manufactured trailer homes are safe. We're finding out differently. We would like them to be safe, and so we have these zoning ordinances that say they have to be built to such. But since we know that's not going to defeat Mother Nature, well, we better insure it just in case. You see the scheme? They've indoctrinated you into believing that this commercial system is some kind of benefit when it's the true test. You've fallen to the test. You've become a subject in that experiment. You're just a rat. You're still just a rat in the cage, despite all your rage. So let's look at the next one. And we're going to get onto the cryptocurrency now, because this is truly what I'm talking about with these Bitcoins and everything, and the credit, where it comes from and everything. Again, understand, you can create your own crypto coins, folks. This is the new technology. It's the electronic system that transfers credits. Okay, it's in the electronic system that credit is established through the data elements that are entered in through pressing numbered keys or other identifiers. And when you do that, each one has a time certificate or a timestamp and a security certificate attached to it. And if you understand how the blockchain works, it's merely a chain of title of a communication. So again, like I said with my site, all I did was establish a point of origin on the private side. So here it says the top 10 currencies of February 2024. From Bitcoin and Ethereum to Dogecoin and Tether, there are thousands of different cryptocurrencies, making it overwhelming when you're first getting started in the world of crypto. To help you get your bearings, Remember, I'm always talking about that armorial bearings. I suggest you do that spiritually because that's where the true credits come from. These are the top 10 cryptocurrencies based on their market capitalization or the total value of all the coins currently in circulation. It's an electrical circulation. They merely transfer the data elements or the value thereof from one place to another. And if you can establish your point of origin, wherein you can start letting your yay be your yay and have it go out in that system, if somebody puts value in there, you can make the claim on that value. It's a direct claim because that blockchain will go back to your point of origin. So when you create a sigil and something like Etsy wants to make a claim on that sigil, you can let them know that they have to recognize your point of origin. If they ever want to make a real claim or get in a real dispute and try to drag me into it, that's already made by a timestamp that has a security certificate attached to it in the internet, which has the Federal Communications Commission as a record holder along with the International Bureau. The International Bureau being that of the Universal Postal Union, of course. So before we get into this, I want to get over to another Forbes link, which is actually from the first page. If you just go up to the right-hand corner of the page, it says basics. What is cryptocurrency? If you just click on that link, you'll come to this next page. But the link to that first Forbes page is down in the details section. And then, of course, when we get done with these two, we're going to start watching that review the video that I already did on the blockchain tactics. And that link is down in the details section as well. It says, what is cryptocurrency? Cryptocurrency is decentralized digital money that's based on blockchain technology. So like I said, in blockchain, you put a data element into this system, okay? It goes from your point of origin, say my point of origin is right here where I've highlighted, and I want it to go over here, okay? Over here to the left side where I highlighted now. It's got to go through all this. Now, anyone along this line, starting here where I enter it, can come in and grab it. Anyone along that line can come in and grab that information. Now, if they can put value to that information and sell it somewhere before it hits here or anywhere along that line, I already have my claim as a decentralized point of origin for all these people that are putting value into it so that it can now come back to me. That's how it circulates. It's got to go back to its point of origin. So now I've established a singular point of origin, whereas through the enumeration at birth, through the Health and Human Services Bureau, State's Vital Statistics jurisdiction that's established, it's a decentralization. And so now you have over 500 agencies, departments, programs, bureaus, and this and that have access to that information, but no central point of origin declared or novated. Nobody's made that declaration. In this electronic forum, you get to make such a declaration for this Bitcoin stuff. You get to start operating in the blockchain stuff with your own point of origin as that private point, first and foremost. This is your foundation of blockchaining. The private data elements. And if you want to protect yourself, you don't need anything else but the proper knowledge to establish your own domain site. And again, I did mine under .art extension, specifically for this purpose. It's already protected, folks. The documents are already there. And again, stop me and interrupt me if you guys have anything. How does cryptocurrency work? A cryptocurrency is a digital, encrypted, and decentralized medium of exchange. So what we have is an internet where everybody can enter into data elements that can be exchanged in a decentralized medium. It can go all over this world. That, folks, is decentralized. However, it's encrypted because there are timestamps and security certificates attached that show definitively in the electronic record the point of origin. So that if anybody makes a false claim and violates the cybersecurity laws, they can come get that sucker. Okay? They can shut him down from the digital currency at his point of origin. Unlike the US dollar or the euro, there is no central authority that manages and maintains the value of cryptocurrency. Instead, these tasks are broadly distributed among a cryptocurrency's users via the internet. And that's what I'm talking about with a chain of title. So if I'm going from point A as my point of origin right here, this blue highlighted area, and I want to get it to here, I have to create this chain of title through here, going back to this point here. And if I don't, it should automatically generate. But if it doesn't, all these people in here can grab some of those data elements and still make value on them. But what I have at use and disposal of or utilization at my hands today is this circulation where I can now direct it straight through so that it shows that it went straight through. But all of these people in between, all of these different things in between, none of them were given permissions or availability to intercept. There's specific computer programming language that says not subject to intercept. You cannot intercept the communication. So you can use crypto to buy regular goods and services. And so that what they're saying here is you can take your cryptocurrencies and convert them into your wallets. You've got electronic wallets, right? PayPal, that's an electronic wallet. All those pay cards, those are electronic wallets. And you can convert those to your wallets. Although most people invest in cryptocurrencies as they would in other assets. Okay, so an asset is a intellectual or intangible property just as much as it is a tangible property. It's an asset. So again, your yay be yay, your nay be nay. Understand the information that you're putting into these venues. Understand how to coordinate it, put it together, make your journal, make sure it's true and correct, and that you give your qualified disclaimers. Again, don't believe me, don't believe your neighbor, don't believe your government. For crying out loud, don't believe your mother. Do your research so you know. Quit believing this shit, folks. Like stocks or precious metals, while cryptocurrency is a novel and exciting asset class, purchasing it can be risky as you must take on a fair amount of research to understand how each system works fully. So again, while cryptocurrency is a novel and exciting asset class, purchasing it is one thing. Creating your own is another. And this is what we're talking about, folks. So don't get all enamored into investing in somebody else's cryptocurrencies. Because again, I'm trying to explain to you the true value is that when that value comes back to you, because it's yours, and you don't need other people investing in you. You are the one investing in them, and you do so through education by teaching them. Each one teach one. The true benefit. Purchasing it can be it can be risky as you must take on a fair amount of research to understand how each system works fully. And again, that's because it's a decentralized. So in that decentralized system, again, it's taken a long time learning having full powers to go through and look at all those different systems and see how each one of them grabs and uses that information and how I can get it to pass through each of those systems. because that's truly what they are. They're just pass-throughs. If they're only supposed to hold the property until they hand it over to the next transfer agent, and in this electronic system, it can go from point A to point B directly, how do I make that connection happen? Bitcoin was the first cryptocurrency, first outlined in principle by Satoshi Nakamoto in 2008, paper titled Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. Okay? What do you think of, guys, help me out here. What do you think of when it says peer-to-peer? Peer-to-peer, doesn't that sound like point A to point B with nothing in between? Peer-to-peer. That's as simple as it gets, folks, and that's what we're talking about. Just because the mailman is involved in the interim doesn't mean anything except that, hey, it must be a trust. And in one capacity, when I'm sending a piece of mail to the other guy, I'm granting it, and he's the beneficiary that's intended to receive it. That's simple. And when he responds and he gives me equal consideration, equal benefit, to give an equal exchange by sending that response as he grants, so that I may receive that benefit of the knowledge that he expresses, so be it. Do you understand where I'm going? Again, listen to the language I'm using, folks. It's really simple. Nakamoto described the project as an electronic payment system based on cryptographic proof instead of trust. Okay, now the cryptographic proof, again, as I said, depends upon what you put in there, and that I urge you strongly, understand what you're putting in there can be used against you. And again, it's a matter of expressing the trust. As we see here, it's talking about instead of trust. Why is that? Because they're using you as the central point of origin for that exact data element as being specific and true. So if you put it out there as true without a caveat or some kind of disclaimer, you're probably going to get yourself in some trouble. That's why I keep telling everybody it's just my opinion. Don't believe me. It's just my interpretation. I've done my research, and through my research, I've found that this language here looks and correlates a lot like this language here, which looks and correlates a lot like this language here, and thus I can only discern that they're all three stating the same thing, which is basically, in my words, this. That's all I'm doing. How can that be a violation of copyright or patent? It can't be. I'm not using it for commercial purposes. I'm in no cent. I'm not under incentive. So let's take a look. The cryptographic proof comes in the form of transactions that are verified and recorded on a blockchain. So what is a blockchain, folks? A blockchain is an open distributed ledger that records transactions in code. Did you know that by pressing a numbered key or other identifiers on a keyboard, or by using that electronic static surface on your phone or other device, that's exactly what you're doing? It's a transaction. You're using one action to enter, which is an export and an import. You're going to export your physical mobility into a electronic mobility device. That's why it's called a mobile phone. In practice, it's little like a checkbook that's distributed. It's a little like a checkbook that's distributed across countless computers around the world. Transactions are recorded in blocks that are then linked together on a chain of previous cryptocurrency transactions. In other words, You've got a wheel spinning around. Now, as data gets entered into this electronic system, that wheel is spinning around, and that wheel picks up that data element. The moment passes, and another wheel slides over. It's spinning around. It picks up the next data element. This is the timestamps. Each one of them is put on a chain. Each communication has its own chain. Each chain is securitized. Each chain is timestamped into a larger security chain of the entire global system of communications. And it just keeps circulating. It's the wheel within a wheel within a wheel, folks. Where did you hear that? Imagine a book. What book did you hear that in? Where you write down everything you spend money on each day, says Bucci Okoro, CEO and co-founder of the African cryptocurrency exchange Quidex. Each page is similar to a block. In the entire book, a group of pages in a blockchain, and each book, a book in a set of books, in a set of documentations in a library, in a set of libraries. Do you get it? It's just information within information within information within information. And it's all supposed to be free. And the only reason it's not is because everybody else seems to think it's so ingenious, that they're so creative. Did you know that somebody probably thought about a washing machine long before a washing machine was made? And that several people thought about it, but never acted upon it? You know, the irony is that today we have so many people acting on the idea of getting rid of plastic straws. So they jump to it and they get in a big powwow and they say, yeah, let's get rid of plastic straws. So they get rid of the plastic straws in paper wraps, only to turn around and use paper straws in plastic wraps, all the while ignoring the total issue or the bigger issue of what about the goddamn plastic cup and the plastic lid that you just got done stuffing that goddamn straw in. It's pathetic. It's all a distraction. It's all a distraction of what you should naturally be able to think of automatically. What about this? Why aren't you paying attention to the plastic cup and the plastic straw? Isn't that the real issue? No, I will say. The real issue is you and what you do with that plastic. What is it you're doing? Again, it's not the gun's fault. It's not the cup's fault. It's not the lid's fault. It's not the plastic that's the problem. It's always going to come back to me. Always. Within or with a blockchain, everyone who uses a cryptocurrency has their own copy of this book to create a unified transaction record. So this is talking about an association. So what we're technically talking about when you invest in that cryptocurrency, Bitcoin or Ethereum or Quidex or whatever it is, what you're doing is entering into somebody else's private association. When we can create a private association in a blockchain where the true value comes from the knowledge that's entered in and not some commercial incentive, then I think that's the best way we can raise our children innocent outside of those commercial public military schools, outside of the commercial public military hospitals, outside of the commercial public military churches. Did I just say outside of the public commercial military churches? Damn fucking right I did. I hope you didn't fucking like it. Each new transaction as it happens is logged, and every copy of blockchain is updated simultaneously with the new information. So like I said, there's a big wheel spinning around. And on it, there's a bunch of big wheels. And on each of those big wheels, as they're all spinning around on this bigger wheel, each one of those has a bunch of different wheels all spinning around themselves. And each one of them has their own sets of information. And every time a new set of information comes in, it adds another wheel to that set of larger wheels. And each wheel is just getting larger and larger and larger. That's your cryptocurrency. Keeping all records identical and accurate. So is there a blockchain? This is my serious question here. When we understand blockchaining and the electronic record as it relates to the federal government and all these data entries, is the electronic record that they have, is that blockchain accurate? I mean, when you enter that credit card, that clearly says credit card and is made by MasterCard or Visa, and that clerk issues you a receipt that says debit. Now, I don't know if this part's true yet. I don't have one of those such cards. I have a MasterCard that says debit on it. But MasterCard is a credit card company. So why are they issuing debit cards through PayPal? Is there a debit situation somewhere? Yeah, with PayPal. PayPal is keeping a ledger, and they expect me to keep a ledger too. Suckers. I already know they have the duty of holding that ledger. So we got to think about this stuff. How it works and how you can provide your own wheel, your own wheel that has its own wheels within wheels that is defined and limited to its source. You don't have to take upon the weight of all those other informations or other people that want to be part of your private association and try to flip you with some other kind of cryptocurrency values. See, this is what I foresee in the future, folks, all these different cryptocurrencies. There's well over 9,000 of them. And as we go into modern times, it's going to increase more and more. More people are going to catch on to this and start creating their own cryptocurrencies instead of understanding the true inherent value of the blockchaining itself, is so that you can protect your assets as they are in a private capacity by deriving your own instrumentalities of those properties. That way some Yahoo wants to come get you with some kind of enumerated clause under a warrant or something. Sorry, I've got a greater enumeration right here that was put in the blockchain long before that one was. And it's got its own centralized point of origin showing where the authority actually comes from. See, that's the problem with their decentralized system. Where is the authority? Well, I don't know. I got it from him. Where's his authority? I don't know. You'll have to ask him. You go ask him. Well, I don't know. I got it from him. So who is the actual authority? See what this decentralized system is? It's the beast. You have to know you and how you have the full powers. And it's not until then, and the point that you take on those responsibilities, will you ever be able to express it. To prevent fraud, each transaction is checked using a validation technique, such as proof of work or proof of stake. Proof of work or proof of stake are the most widely used consensus mechanisms to verify transactions before adding them to a blockchain. Use consensus method. That's a mathematical mechanism that goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And if there's something that falls out of line, it changes that mechanism until it comes back in line again. So like say you're typing on a keyboard, every time you take your finger and you hit the keyboard, there's a consensus of time slots. Now some people, when they hit the keyboard, they hit it very fast. Other people, they kind of let their fingers lay on it and they're kind of slow and clumsy. So this consensus through this blockchain is going to give a private signature, just like a voice signature, where the people on the other end of the line through this blockchain and the very detailed elements that they can get from this consensus through those timestamps can tell them whether it's the person that always types at this keyboard or if it's somebody else, or if an incoming message is coming from the same person that they've been getting incoming messages from, because that signature will be there according to those blockchain timestamps. Just the keyboard entries in text messages. Do you understand where this technology is going, folks? Verifiers are then rewarded with cryptocurrency for their efforts. So like I said, when you got a point of origin here and you wanted to go here, the true value is supposed to come back when those verifiers don't just grab onto it and use it for their own value here or there, but when it goes through all of them and they all return it. And the only way that happens is that they know priorly that it has no value for them and it's only passing through their system. They don't have any receptacle for value on it. So therefore it uses that entire blockchain system to go in and come back. It doesn't get caught up in one of those other cogs in the wheels. It goes in, does its revolutions wherever it needs to go on whatever level, whatever platform, at whatever speed, for whatever data elements that need to pass, and it comes back. Proof of work is a method of verifying transactions on a blockchain in which an algorithm provides a mathematical problem that computers race to solve. That mathematical problem is the miner. Each participating computer, often referred to as a miner. It's like I said, when it's going along from point A and it's got to go to point B, you enter it into the internet. That's got all kinds of different points all along the way of people that can grab that information as data miners and say, okay, it's coming into this here, it's coming into this terminal, it's coming into this station, it's coming into this parking lot, it's coming into this lot, whatever it is. Those are measurements of units along that route. And they're allowed to do that. The only one that's ever going to be able to protect you is you. Again, this insurance scheme isn't protecting you, and we've known this for many years. They don't pay out. They end up turning around charging you as the one being at fault, things in this. Nah, you got to understand, they don't cover acts of God. The fuck are you? You yourself are an act of God. If they don't cover acts of God, then why are you getting insurance? Because you don't recognize that you are the very act of God. Each participating computer, often referred to as a miner, solves a mathematical puzzle that helps verify a group of transactions referred to as a block, then adds them to the blockchain ledger. So if they can't, if you put information out there that they can't verify, they can't add them to the blockchain ledger. So anybody that does would be the ones that put value in it. So the one that wants value from this end is going to be the one at this end, and the value is going to be received when he gets it, and it will be validated by this chain that comes back. It'll say received. Here's the evidence. It was validated. What do you think about debt collectors and validation letters now? This is providing you with a direct communication to your creditors and debtors, if that's the case. If they're not creditors and debtors, then it's strictly a what? A channel of expressing yourself, and they, as receivers on the other end of this broadcast or narrowcast, have the right to know. You can't interfere. Point A to point B. Who the fuck is you? Each participating computer, often referred to as a miner, the first computer to do so successfully is rewarded with a small amount of cryptocurrency for its effort. So again, when it comes from point A and hits to point B, And this is the point, the only point that can validate it by saying it received it. So now you can use your broadcasting to narrowcast from point A to point B, and now all these other people on that ham radio that are receiving your signal, that's fine. They can't make value from it. The only value that is accorded is when the one receives it, that is supposed to receive it, can validate it, and that is the one that solves the mathematical puzzle. That's the puzzle from point A to point B without any interference. This electronic blockchain is your venue to do that, folks, as long as you can learn how to communicate it. The race to solve blockchain puzzles can require intense computer power and electricity. That means the miners might barely break even with the crypto they receive for validating transactions after considering the cost of power and computing sources. So you're going to cut out those middleman miners by assigning the one at the end of the line as the miner. How do you do so? You give him the solution in a private blockchain communication. Proof of stake. Some cryptocurrencies use a proof of stake. And just so you understand that, folks, when you've got a private blockchain communication that says from point A to point B, and some Yahoo in the middle tries to make a claim for the reward, but it shows that he's not point B, oops. That's the point of blockchain validation, is to prove that it went from point A to point B so that it can go back to point A again. Nobody gets to dip their grummy little fingers in it. That's why blockchaining or cryptocurrency is so secure. The federal government can't even dip in, supposedly. Some cryptocurrencies use proof of stake verification method to reduce the amount of power necessary to check transactions. With proof of stake, the number of transactions each person can verify is limited by the amount of cryptocurrency they're willing to stake or temporarily lock up in a communal safe. Communal safe. So there's that premise of that private association where you have a communal safe of education. So let's talk about this. Greetings, Warrior of Truth.
What's up, man?
We've got communal safe. This goes to the first thing I thought of was the Federation of Tribes, where you got 5 different tribes. And again, if they're bearing the stories of their forefathers by oral traditions, their communal safe in that sense for their knowledge would be oral retelling, right? So it goes to their culture. So what are we talking about with the communal safes here for Bitcoin? Again, the cryptocurrencies. Again, we're talking about a private association of people that have collectively gotten together so they can protect themselves. Isn't that what it sounds like?
Sure does.
See, and that's why I talk about the 18 profiles on YouTube, because that's the premise of a authors guild, where you've got multiple authors that are making writings, literary and artistic works, that are protecting each other because they're there at the foundational element of that very construction of the literary and artistic work for communal purposes of those expressions.
That would be why they're trying to get their grubby little hands into all the crypto and regulate it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If they think they can regulate crypto, then that's only because they've got enough people that believe it. Because again, if you understand the international venue, they can't block us from having internet through a local internet service.
Yep. there's already countries that said, screw you, we're using Bitcoin.
Yeah, and that goes to the thing about the petrodollar. See, now we have something that's not even going to be off of the land resources, but it's actually developed. Again, the inherent priority element I want people to understand about this is the control factor that people themselves have in this. See, the petrodollar is based on the petrol, right? Right? We got all these other different forms of dollars. We've got a cryptocurrency now based on blockchaining that is based on the data elements that you enter in through these keyboards. That's a strictly people element, and that's the information, the knowledge. I don't find any better way to express it. This is the greatest library on earth. It's got some of the greatest languages on earth. Even the computer programming languages. Oh my God, I haven't figured some of those out. I've got the copyright from from Facebook. And coincidentally, they use the Postal Service, United States Postal Service copyright, not the UPU one, but the USPS one for Facebook. And in that, they've got a very basic copyright claim, but the rest of it, and it's pages thick. It's pages thick, guys. It's nothing but computer programming for the rest of the copyright. So I don't even know what it is yet. I haven't even thought about taking the time to try to figure that one out yet. But I've got it in print just in case some other sucker can.
That's awesome.
So anyway, let's go back. So now you pretty much know what cryptocurrency is. Let's go back to the other Forbes document about the top 10 cryptocurrencies. And again, remember, and here's that link that I said earlier that you can click on in the right corner. If you want to see what we just viewed, just click on this right here, and it'll pop up. And in the meantime, I've got this link here down in the details section below, so anybody can get to this one. And remember, we talked about the circulation. Again, we're talking about electrical circulation now through electrical transfer of credits through by wire. Bitcoin market cap 1 trillion, created in 2009 by Satoshi Nakamoto. Bitcoin is the original cryptocurrency. As with most cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin runs on a blockchain or a ledger logging transactions distributed across a network of thousands of computers. And so again, as it relates to that ledger, if I'm putting out data elements and it shows on my side of this ledger, this electronic ledger, that there's zero value, then what's it going to have for value on the other side of the ledger? So the only things on this ledger, this blockchain ledger, this electronic device that I have, that would be going through those things would be any kind of like PayPal, but PayPal is set up through WordWise Warriors for the email. It does have a phone number connected to it, which is also an international broadcasting or receiver. I can broadcast internationally on the phone, or I can receive international broadcasts just like the internet. See how that works out, folks? Those are international broadcasting and receiver stations. That's my station in life. And in that station, I don't care what platform it's going to view to or audio to or anything. I'm going to make sure what I speak is as close to truth as possible. And again, most everything I state anywhere is just my opinion and interpretation of things that I've read before. That's my disclaimer. Don't believe me. Don't believe the neighbor. Don't believe your government. For crying out loud, don't believe your mother. Do your research so you know that is the true benefit. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. So to live again, you must acquire that knowledge. That means you need to know. Quit believing. Because additions to the distributed ledgers must be verified by solving cryptographic puzzle, a process called proof of work. Bitcoin is kept secure and safe from fraudsters. So that point of origin is your proof of work. So when it goes out into the system, a decentralized system, and somebody tries to put a false value on it, like Etsy, and say, I'm going to allow people to use this sigil. You see the one up in the right-hand corner there? That's my sigil, and you can find it on Etsy. All I have to do is give them a notice, thanking them for spreading my message, not of Christianity, but of the Word of God as it's interpreted by each one of us. I can't make a commercial claim on it. That would be what? That would mean I fell to the incentive and I'm no longer in no cent. I'm now going to start charging people. I can't do that. Don't you get it? Oh, no man, anything. And these are simple words. Again, comprehend the language I'm using. It's very simple. It's almost baby talk, people. Bitcoin's price has skyrocketed as it's become a household name. That's because more and more people are investing in it, of course. And the more people that invest in it, the more solid it becomes as one of those incentives to invest. But again, remember, there's going to be a time that comes along, something's going to happen, and that system's going to be, or that copyright or patent's going to have to be overwritten. See what happens there? So remember, I always talk about the veto, line item veto, and overwriting. Even in computers, you can overwrite. Okay? Even on computers, you can erase information, but sometimes they're written into the hard drive, and you can't overwrite or erase. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. This is how sometimes they can go into your device after you've erased everything and try to reformat it. They can go back in and still get the past memories, up to like 4 of them, I think. And most of these devices, you can reformat like 7 or 8, 9 times. And they can still go back 3, 4 formats to get information. It's amazing what they can do. That latent information may be latent, but it's still there. In May 2016, you could buy 1 Bitcoin for about $500. May of 2016. Wow. So in 7 years, a Bitcoin went up from like 1 cent to, or whatever it started out at, up to $500. As of February 20th, 24, a single Bitcoin price was around $52,283. That's a growth of 10,357%. 10,357%.
Yep, the opposite of what fiat does.
Absolutely. So let me ask you, do you think it would be wise to invest or create your own cryptocurrency blockchain of information that is validated, that nobody can devalue? I mean, it's already validated, and then it would technically, in this ethereal system, this internet, this electronic system that they placate is going to last eons, would last eternally. All crypto has backdoors. I'll agree with that. But again, part of this system is covering up those back doors with your own servers and virtual networks, and getting back to the concept that each one of us can be our own internet provider. Okay, we do not have to have internet services provided from somebody else. Okay.
Yep. I think it's just like every other tool can be used for good or evil. Just depends on the user.
Yep. Absolutely. So let's get back to it. We're going to finish up here real quick. I'm not going to go through all 10 of these. The link is down there so you guys can. And of course, there's a bunch of other links on here you can check out, and best crypto exchanges, best blockchain ETFs, best crypto credit cards. What is an NFT, non-fungible transfer? cryptocurrency tax calculators, you know, if you're into that kind of stuff. Both a currency and a blockchain platform, both a cryptocurrency and a blockchain platform. Ethereum is a favorite of program developers because of its potential applications like so-called smart contracts that automatically execute when conditions are met and non-fungible tokens. See, these are the ones that are out there data mining. So they've got a blockchain platform for data mining, and they provide a cryptocurrency for validation as well. Ethereum has also experienced tremendous growth. From April 2016 to end of February 24, its price went from about $11 to around $2,968, increasing 26,886%. 2.5 times what the other one did. 2.5 times. Amazing. Market cap, 97.7 billion. These are large amounts, guys. 356.7 billion for, or 1 trillion for Bitcoin. So let's get on to the next one, and that's the video that I did already. This was a year ago. Blockchain tactic to private routing. Private routing. Okay? And this is what I'm talking about when we're talking about this going out and coming back. That's the routing. And what goes out has to go back to the root. That's what routing is. Routing. Some people even pronounce it root. Rural root. Or routing. So let's take a look. And again, stop me anytime you need to interrupt. Pause.
Good afternoon, everybody. Greetings. Keith here. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. I'm going to give it a few. I don't normally post in my group, but I'm leaving my regular page shut down for a while. And so any live videos on Facebook will be through my group, or I will do them live on YouTube. So we're just going to hang out. Going to go over some blockchain tactic. And we're going to do it straight from a regular, simple research approach. Hopefully this will help others comprehend how I come across my information and how to put it in alignment with your life, or find out if it's not in alignment. Because as I said many times before, it's not a matter of one process. There's many different paths along the way to get to a final intent. And so I think the biggest problem is that people are failing to not only recognize, but express their original intent. And this is what it comes down to. This is what defeats everything they put in their courts, everything that they write in their documents. And it all goes down to your original intent, your original, the intent that you are operating under when you do things. And when somebody else puts down that intent through a definition like driver or license or something like that, there is a specifically
and this is why I say it's important to learn the language and stuff, and the importance of these blockchaining venues and developing your own site, so that when you run into issues, you can put on your own site the very distinction that you have, the very discernment you have about those various different terms. And in so doing, you end up teaching yourself to quit using those terms and start using more appropriate terms. So instead of using driver, oh, I was on my way. You see what I'm saying? I was on my way. I was going from point A to point B. I was transitioning. You find many other different things through a thesaurus for a true meaning of what you actually intend. And again, this goes to the importance of the cybersecurity, AI algorithms, and the language that you're using on these platforms, and how they're shutting people down because of it. You can protect yourself by learning how to be your own author, as long as you learn how to coin your words or purse your lips. Because again, it does come down to the peaceful language, and it's not a matter of being censored, but more a sense of controlling your words and what you put out, so they're not taken in a destructive manner by anyone. And this is the true sense of bringing peace.
Find intent in that. And if that is not your intent, then they can't portray that intent. They can't paint that picture, portray. So when we think about this, this is why I've been talking about the Treaty of Berne and its protections of the literary and artistic works, because that's what they've got, is they've got a set of literary works, and it's protected. And that system protects it very well. So in our research, let's start out. I'll show you where I started.
No sound.
My apologies. I wanted to speak on the issue about Yahoo Mail and the security already being programmed in, as Yahoo Mail is the first email provider, though they weren't called Yahoo at the beginning. And for well over 25 years now, I've had a Yahoo email account that has served nothing but the best, because they are in a premier position of being the first, of having the top quality cybersecurity programming first and foremost. Same with Windows on these laptops and stuff. I don't have any other security programming on my computer system or my phone. I use what's already provided because I know in the context of federal law, this is a security device itself. Federal Communications Commissions has to have all these communications. Therefore, they're the ones that would be breaking the law if something were to happen on their platform. If I'm the one that causes that, then I have to accept my part in that. If I accept my part in that and I can separate my part from theirs, then again, if I'm bringing peaceful terms, they can't do anything against me, no matter what their cybersecurity says, because it won't say anything. I'm the one being responsible for me. I'm the one that understands this stuff. I'm the one saying, okay, well, if it's a system that they want me to fight, I'm not here to fight the system. I'm here to program it. So how do I program it? That's all I'm trying to learn.
Get this set up here. Okay.
And again, remember, it's a decentralized system of what? Posting the accounting of events. So what you're doing is establishing your own international point of origin of posting literary and artistic works. And you are the proof.
In regards to the title and everything, as thoughts go through my head, I think about the title, and I think about the chain of title, and I think about the weakness link, and the process that we go through today in the links and all of the different forums that we have to go through, all the circles or hoops that we got to jump through in order to meet certain things according to the way they write it. So I looked up private blockchain. Everybody all gung ho about this blockchain stuff, and they don't realize the importance of it. And this is why I tell them the Bitcoin and all that stuff, that's still a false trust. No matter how you do that, that is a false trust. How do we know this? We're going to show you. Private blockchains, which may also be referred to as managed blockchains, are permissioned blockchains controlled by a single organization. Private blockchains, which may also be referred to as managed blockchains, are permissioned blockchains controlled by a single organization. In a private blockchain, the central authority determines who can be a node. And so when we look at this, let's go ahead and click on this so we can get to this right here. See, as a private entity, one is centralized with a lock. It's under lock and key. You have the lock. You have the key. You have the key. The key of the house shall I lay upon his shoulder, and he shall open, and no one shall shut, and he shall shut, and no one shall open. That's the only way this will be referenced. The only way it can be possible. Controlled by one authority. Okay. Then you have a consortium controlled by a group. Under my Wyrd Wyzard Warrior site, if you go to adoptions up in the top panel, you will see all of my adoptions. I adopted the Treaty of Berne. Well, first and foremost, you see, I adopted all adoptions done for private use without commercial intent. King James Version of the Bible, my first adoption. Preserved in living word of God. Coin your words or purse your lips. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. If you bring anything without God, that, then you are already failed. The same was in the beginning with God. You've already failed the beginning. You're stating something else other than the beginning. So I adopted the Treaty of Berne. Oh, and I am I, as I am, a neighbor, and hereby adopt all people of this world. I adopt and love you unconditionally, because I'm told to adopt you in the scriptures. The scriptures is what tells us we are to adopt. Isaiah 54, verse 1 through 17, the whole thing. Read it. Treaty of Berne, as amended on September 28, 1979, the latest version, particularly but not limited to Article 20, the governments of the countries of the Union reserve the right to enter into special agreements among themselves, insofar as such agreements grant authors more extensive rights than those granted by the convention.
Grant authors more extensive rights than those of the convention.
Most of it actually, they compared it to tramadol online.
Yeah, we don't need you talking about your prescriptions online, folks. So we hear them talking about such agreements grant to authors more extensive rights than they do the convention. And that's, again, because it's the author's word. My yea be yea, my nay be nay. You can't, by any means, contrivance, group, or presented authority, try to take over that. Romans 13:1. For all souls are subject unto the powers of God. There are no powers but that which are ordained of God. So, continue on.
Grant to authors more extensive rights than those granted by the convention. Article 9 of the Constitution of the United States. The rights hereby enumerated don't cover all of the rights that one may have, so we have to accept those issued by the author issuing that right. That's plain English. This is the same kind of agreement in Article 9 of the Constitution of the United States. It's said in different words by a different author. It says the same thing using different terms and conditions, or contain other provisions not contrary to this convention. In other words, in peace. The provisions of existing agreements which satisfy these conditions shall remain applicable. Constitution of the Universal Postal Union, Peace Corps, UN Charter, Declaration of Human Rights, International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, Interpol. I'm not going to mess around with the FBI except to give them notice that they've been put on duty as notice to the Interpol. I'm giving Interpol a notice that I'm placing the FBI on duty. Liber Code, Library of Congress, HathiTrust. Mission of HathiTrust is to contribute to research. I am at this point in time, folks, contributing to research.
And that's what I'm talking about with that. Give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Feed him or teach him to fish, and you feed him for a lifetime. But the true principle, again, is the passing of the knowledge, the education. And the Library of Congress is just that such thing, that HathiTrust. Like I said, I adopted the HathiTrust. And that Library of Congress is one of the libraries in the HathiTrust that has all those documents. And it's all free education to the world. It's the greatest library on earth, this internet. You have access to every library that is being digitized at your fingertips. And if it's already stated, then why are you trying to make new claims? Just restate what's already been done. That's the basic principle.
Fellowship and the common good by collaboratively collecting in peace and not in war, organizing, preserving, communicating, and sharing the record of human knowledge. Okay, let's go here. UAAAPU Consortium Library. Anchorage, Alaska. Providence Drive. If you're going to drive anything, folks, drive the Providence of Grace. And anchor, I'll ask, I'll. About the library. Consortium Library, University of Alaska, Anchorage, Alaska Pacific University. No library from the HathiTrust in Alaska. Okay? However, I adopted the Library of Congress and HathiTrust and all that. And in that Library of Congress, they have the Consortium Library of the Alaska Pacific University, University of Alaska Anchorage. This library is within the Library of Congress by
So the Library of Congress, what I'm stating, is the Library of Congress has the records of other libraries. You understand? It's not located in Alaska. There is one located in Alaska, but they copied that record. It was digitized. So now there resides in the Library of Congress that complete entire record from Alaska.
Recognition and reference on an international postal site. Both of those being part of my library, privately, as a consortium of libraries.
And that's not the only one. There's many of them in the Library of Congress. You have Cornell and Harvard and, oh yeah, all kinds of them here in the United States, all kinds of them all around the world.
As a consortium of libraries. The public domain is the no central authority. You see that, folks? Pay attention. This is how blockchain works. There is no central authority if you're involved in a public blockchain. If you have a...
And so when it comes to the blockchain, like I said, it's a decentralized system of authority that's merely validating the facts that you're putting in there. And if they can put a value to them, use them. That's all they're doing. There is no governance. Again, it's a usufruct. If you don't understand this and learn how to govern yourself in all these venues, they're going to take advantage of that.
Hybrid. I gotta find it here. Here we go. As I said, I set up a hybrid email already. So when we look at this,
see up here how it shows the red line there. That's showing that there's a single point of origin for my email. Instead of coming from like BraveNet itself, it shows that I've got my own extension from BraveNet. BraveNet is within the system. And because I was able to get a private email set up through a private domain extension from my site, I can enter into this system just like anybody else would along the way. You can enter into it with a private point of origin. Now we can use this system. Say there's another private point of origin down here where it says letter mail. Say there's another, I got a friend that's got a private point of origin right here. Oops. Right here. And this is mine up here, the red one. So there's another red one here, and I got an email that I want to go through here. It's going to go through, and it's going to go directly to him. Now, all these people along this part of the path can validate it, but they can't put any value to it because it was a direct routing. Okay, I directed the routing, and it was automatically a direct routing because there's an outside point of origin. So if somebody within the system sends something along the path, it's going to go to everybody in that system, and everybody can evaluate it. Okay, that's what the decentralized system is. So when you invest in that blockchain, Bitcoin that's decentralized, what you're doing is investing in other people that are going to invest in you. Why not do that from your own point of origin? See, this thing is all just like a big old Ponzi scheme, pyramid scheme, same damn thing. In my opinion, of course, this is not legal advice. This is not financial advice. Just so we're clear on that.
So you could probably do an NFT with your birth certificate and tokenize it.
Absolutely. All you would have to do is make sure that was explicitly down in that electronic communication. Make sure it follows the language of the law so that you could send that electronic communication and boom. That's technically the way it's supposed to work, folks. It's supposed to work in favor of the Paperwork Reduction Act so that you can do such things. But see, right now, we don't have any central point of origin in this decentralized system because nobody's being allowed to, or I shouldn't say allowed. I'm saying not enough people are recognizing their ability to be their own broadcaster so they can broadcast or narrowcast. Remember our thing about the ledgers and stuff, the finance and everything. In these systems, you're supposed to be able to narrowcast something in the system so that it reaches its point of destination without altering its path. In this decentralized system, when we're operating on these social sites, that's a decentralized system already. We're posting things to these social sites that anybody can come out and grab. So you have all these advertisers that are latching onto the language that you're putting in the post. Yeah, we just went out to the park this last weekend and we had a nice time on the new boat. And yeah, we spent. And somebody in the questions or in the comments questions, well, what'd you spend for it? $25,000. Said, nah, we got it cheaper now. We got it turning $22,000. So you're giving them your budget, your lifestyle, how many kids, what kind of lifestyle you live in, everything, and they're going to come get you. They're going to give you an incentive. Understand how this system works, folks.
When we look at this, I'm already right here. I already have a consortium library showing that there's a public library recognizing a private library, and I can do the same thing.
See, this is me as the private entity, all of my information, and then my email that is set up with BraveSite or BraveNet to intercourse with the rest of the system. So my email is the private hybrid email of communication lines. It's the entry point for my data elements for my private communications. My private, controlled by my authority, is controlled by a group of public information. That's all I've got. My consortium is all the public information that I put on my site.
Does that make sense? I hope so. Because that's as simple as it gets, folks. Hybrid, controlled by one authority with some permissionless processes. Permissionless processes. It means there is no permission for me to provide my own process.
And that is exactly what it says, folks. Permissionless process. Why? Because you are the authority. Comprehend this.
That process in all venues starts with an originator. So let's go back. What is an example of a private?
And in that being the originator and owning up to that, and accepting that thing about being a creator and your yay being your yay, you have to take responsibility for your yay being nay and your nay being yay in the past. For all the babble that you've done, you have to take responsibility for that and learn to turn 180 in repentance.
Yep. Original source issue for all original source issue.
Yeah, and it can't be a commercial incentive. If you do, then you are, again, like I said, no longer in no cent. You are guilty, guilty, guilty as charged. Da-da-da-da-da-da, charge! He just went to war. Because he doesn't understand. He's still battling with himself and where the true credit comes from.
The most common examples of private blockchains are Ripple XRP and Hyperledger. Additionally, some public blockchains also allow anonymity, while private blockchains do not. I do not provide for anonymity. I do not allow you to hide behind a person. You are a living soul, and you will stand as such, or else you will not be recognized. Get it?
Excuse me. Get a drink here. So what I'm saying is you can't hide either. That's why I put my site down in the details section along with my private hybrid email. I want people to get a hold of me. I want you to get to know me. I'm going to tell you again, you do not want to be my friend. You want to be my friend, I'm going to be one of the hardest motherfuckers on you. I expect you to walk side by side with me. You better be able to keep up. That means in comprehension and diligence of research and actually doing the things you need to do. That's all I'm saying.
For example, anyone can buy and sell Bitcoin without having their identity revealed. It allows everyone to be treated equally. This is against scripture, folks. Some people only have one talent.
And if you guys understand that concept, I hope you do. We are not created equally. We are created in an image and likeness. And as we grow and experience life, we grow at different rates in different ways in different things. This is what creates that very diversity that we need to depend upon for those new creations for old problems. A better way to fish. How do you think they fished before they had fishing rods? And when they came up with fishing rods, was it really better than fishing by nets? Or is that just a better way to fish independently? Or is that a commercial incentive so that somebody could sell something that they thought was unique for the individual for mountain lakes or something instead of out in the oceans? See, everything, again, I assert comes from the mother of necessity. Is the invention comes from the mother of necessity.
And are only worth one talent. Others have 5 talents and are worth 5 talents. A man is worthy of his work. His work is his talents. You're not supposed to be treated equally. You're supposed to recognize each other for their talents. And when you find somebody that has lesser talents than you, like say a man that can't feed himself for a day, you don't give him a fish. And you don't just teach him to fish. You teach him to fish well enough so that he can teach others to fish. This is the prosperity of the abundance. You don't let it wither away individually. And the only way that can happen is by you not recognizing it.
Muted.
And so again, I'm not saying that everybody's going to learn how to fish, but when we're teaching others how to fish, the more we do so, the better opportunity we have to come across somebody that's going to be intelligent enough to find a better way to fish. Whatever that better way to fish might be, according to their mind. They might find a more economical way or a more humane way or something, just depends.
You have to observe talents, which are actions and not words written in paper that have no source of permissions. None. That's literally what it's telling you, folks. We'll go on. What is the difference between public blockchain and private blockchain? Blockchain is divided into 2 types, public and private, while public blockchains are decentralized, peer-to-peer. So the court clerk works with the judge because they are peers. Peer-to-peer, decentralized, public. No central authority. Public means no central authority, folks. Get that in your head. Peer-to-peer networks, the ledger is controlled by a centralized authority in private blockchains.
Did you hear that? The ledger itself is controlled by the private authority in blockchains. Do you understand the importance of establishing your private authority? If you don't have your own private domain extension or something, are they going to recognize you within that system as a private authority, or are they going to send you somebody else within that decentralized system and say, hey, go over here, maybe they can help you. You get over there, nah, I can't do anything for you. Maybe go over here, maybe they can help you. See what you get? You get a runaround. That's the exact situation we're in, folks.
Meaning the main difference lies in the level of access given to users. Remember that user was all the users are all the little nodes on the outside that can use.
And again, that user relates to the beneficiary. That's who it's actually made for, is the user. Otherwise, you wouldn't have anybody to use it. Now, the treatment of those users, whether they be internal or external, is the difference. Again, there are things under domestic tranquility, national security, and general welfare that are supposed to be provided. And those things are the things that are supposed to make us equal. Give us equal access.
that which is within. They are not out of that law. They are in that law. They get to use that law. Okay? It's like your brothers and sisters when they get married and you get in-laws. It's a conjunction of your laws with their laws. Okay?
Do you understand that? It's a matter of understanding that there's two sets of laws running. They're both uniform, and you just have to determine which is the best characters of each of those laws. So that in that hybrid part, you come up with something better. So again, I've got my way of fishing. This friend I know, he has his way of fishing. We went fishing together. We found a new way of fishing that turned out to have better results. That's what we're looking at, folks. You need to quit fighting over all the bullshit and realize we each have our own credit, and that credit is an extension of our natural talents that were given to us by our Creator, and that if we truly intend to use those in prosperity and abundance, we learn together for better and newer ways.
A conjunction, the middle part. It's a hybrid. So as brothers and sisters.
And again, as it goes to that private point of authority, that's your yay being your yay and your nay being your nay, and it's founded on the proof that you can bring. I found a better way of fishing. Then show us. That's what this blockchain is doing. It's showing in the electronic forum through the data elements what is expected to be true. That's why I say, if you're going to put it in there, you damn well better know what you're doing. Don't go making cyber threats. They'll come get you.
And you have a brother that gets married and now you have in-laws, you can accept those in-laws or not. Your acceptance is in the public where you recognize everybody is equal and there's no public authority, no centralized authority, or you do your own shit in private. Actions speak louder than words.
And this is where I was talking about that private server network with your own virtual private networks. You can have your own internet companies. Look them up. You can buy one, I'm sure, for $30,000, $40,000. Think about it, folks.
You centralize yourself, or you go out in public freely, equally, enjoying everybody's presence as provided by His grace, not by some damned piece of paper. In a private blockchain, the central authority determines who can be a node. The central authority determines. So if there's no central authority, who's making the determination? No one. You're attaching yourself to it. You're becoming a node by yourself. All you got to do is let go. What is an example of a private blockchain? The most common. Oh, we already did that one, didn't we? Meaning the main difference lies in the level of access given to users. So when you have a public entity that has no central authority and no actual process, what's happening? The level of access is given to the user because then they get to use your information internally. They don't have to allow you inside. They're the ones that control that ledger. Get it? You have to be part of that organization first. In order to do so, you have to have an oath of office and a license to put down those documented terms and conditions under their artwork, their ledger. What is the use of a private blockchain? What is the use? Private blockchains are designed for companies that want to have more control over data and more privacy with fine-grained permission control.
You understand the value now? See, the private isn't for the value of the commerce, but the protection of the data, which is where the value comes from. So that you have authority and control over it. Your yay is your yay, your nay is your nay.
It uses companies, but you don't have to be a company. You can establish yourself, again, just private. That's what the blockchain is about, private and public, in case you didn't notice. There's a very distinct difference. And after you get past the point of the hybrid and get both sides realizing that, hey, there's a consortium, and that consortium shows that we're both, in fact, private. You have the consortium set with this other private entity and all these other private entities and all these other people that are in your own consortium. Then you all admit that you have to admit my same private foundation.
Unincorporated, privately founded association. A private foundation, none of your business. Because we ain't in the business.
Nation, origination, not incorporation. The next one, how do I make a private blockchain?
We don't need incentive. We have credit. We are innocent.
Create a data DIR folder. So just like creating a data DIR folder on your laptop, you can create a data DIR, a data directory on the internet itself. Okay? On the internet, you have a postal service agreement under the Postal Union for freedom of transit, under the Postal Service trademark, and the agreement made with the domain extension site. Here it's BraveNet. You have a commercial contract. Mine is with PayPal, BraveNet, and the Postal Service trademark. They're the ones that are holders of all of the data information for the financial incorporation. But I myself am not financially incorporated. So I am merely a consortium of information through adoptions, notices, my faith-based union, my expression of the trust. In essence, a trust is a right to money or property, which is held in a fiduciary relationship by one person or bank for the benefit of another. Okay, so we have all these banking elements, but I myself am not a bank. I am a private, hybrid, controlling authority with a permissionless process. I don't need your permission. It is already patently observable that I am a living soul, a child of Israel, a living heir of all that which came before us. And I am controlled by one authority, no one else. That's a blatant expression of the trust, and you just have to know how to do it. So we'll go through and we'll keep looking. How do I make a private blockchain? Create a Genesis block. Adoptions with intent to create a more perfect union. I create.
Instinctive Archer, what is meant by hack crypto like change, add, delete transactions already hashed into a block in the chain? Basically what they're doing there, they can't delete it, but they can do like attach a node, I think, that would change the parameters to allow for the correction of an error or an oversight or a miskey to correct the chain or something like that. I'm not fully sure. I don't think it really is too effective against it, because again, it's like looking up the last four formats on a laptop. They can pretty much see it anyway. You know, it's going to take a lot to cover it up. If I'm understanding your question, and that's what I believe.
A Genesis block. All adoptions done for private use without commercial intent. King James Version of the Bible, the preserved and living word of God, as the living soul, the living air. Every breath I take is an act of God. It is already artistic and protected. I don't need literature, but in conforming with literature, I make sure I do my best to coin my words or purse my lips in all situations to create a more perfect union with one authority, bringing that public domain with no central authority under authority. You have to help them recognize the authority by reference. Okay? References of consortium.
See, not many people understand this, but this decentralized government that we have, a military government, we have to do the same thing with them. We have to let them know that, hey, we have our own private capacity, but with a hybrid, because we cannot be a United States citizen or a resident. But we all agree that, you know, hey, I was born on this soil, and I was born of the right of the soil, just soli, and I was born of the right of the blood, just sanguine. Then that amnesty and that treaty and everything that you have, that's actually for my benefit. So let's get down to the brass tacks, cut the bullshit, act like big boys and girls, and do your fucking job like you're supposed to. I ain't playing games no more. I'm tired of you kidnapping the children of the brethren of Israel and making merchandise of them.
Of material. Start the private network. Create an externally owned account. Get some ether for our account.
You hear that? Get some ether. Isn't this called a Ethernet? So where is the value coming from in this Ethernet if you can get some ether for your cryptocurrency?
Now, what do you think about blockchain?
Yep.
A little bit of research should tell you already have a blockchain, and it's the strongest one you have if you learn how to coin your words and purse your lips according to the one authority that is already recognized and referenced more than anything else in the entire history of man, the Bible and all of its scriptures. And the scriptures of all religions around the world are more prolifically printed and published and iterated and literalized and verbalized and vocalized and oralized and corporatized. Yes, it is corporatized, and that's what your laws are. They are corporate conversions of the word.
That's why I said you can go ahead and keep going to those military commercial churches, folks. I don't give a rat's ass. Let me look it up here and leave a code. Pull it up for you so you get real nice and clear here. This is Article 10 of the Labor Code, which is martial law. And it says martial law affects chiefly the police and collection of public revenue and taxes, whether imposed by the expelled government or by the invader, and refers mainly to the support and efficiency of the Army, its safety, and the safety of its operations. Who has the largest portion of the budget but the military? And that's because every last bit of this operation in this country, all 49 countries, if you want to call them that, Alaska and Hawaii included, since there's a presumption of authority through territorial overlays, that military is decentralized, huh? Is it good to have a decentralized military, folks? I only ask because I'm concerned about our welfare, the general welfare, the domestic tranquility, and the national security. Because if this is the kind of leaders we have, God forgive us. What do you got, guys? That brings me to the end of my stream tonight.
Yep. The whole question that I have is, since the DOD created the internet, who really controls everything? No matter what sites we make or devices we use, they built the infrastructure.
Yeah, it's a security network. It's meant. It's meant, of course, as originally as a convenience in the political, educational, commercial, all those different geopolitical venues, everything, because of its usefulness for timed calculations. Today, we have a computer system that can create scenery and put you right in the mix of it, and nobody would know the difference, and you could be convicted on that.
Yep.
That's why it's important. That's why it's important to understand how these things work, so that if there's truly a blockchain for that video, it will show. Otherwise, it will show that somebody created it through its blockchain. It will show that it wasn't created in now time, that it was pixelated from this, and this event happened, and this part of the picture showed up. It's a wonderful tool if you know how to use it and understand how it works. You can use it against them for people that would do something like that. In the meantime, if you don't really have any cause to pick a video apart, I still don't urge you to believe it. I want you to understand that it could very likely, and the likelihood day by day is growing, that it's false.
Yep. Well, we're all learning and coming of age now, it seems. It took a long time for me to wake up to finally realize all this stuff that's going on. But
well, yeah, I was almost 50 years old myself, and it is discouraging at that. I was very discouraged at that point in time. When my mom looked at me and said, "Keith, the police are your authority," and I realized something was drastically wrong, not just with my mom and dad, but with the way I had been brought up and the way I was even thinking about things still, even though I was doing some research here and there. I realized at that point in time I had to put things down and really reconsider what I was going to do from that point on. And that's very shortly after there is when I put my foot down and I got arrested alongside the road. And nope, I'm not going back. I'm not signing a fucking thing. You make me sign a document. Show me where your authority is. And granted, many people see that I lost that. But I assure you, again, with all those other cases that I never signed, anything but UCC 1-308, and then never showed up in court, they still haven't come after me for any of those, despite my last court appearance. Then they issued a failure to appear for jury duty. And so I've gotten that one taken care of, dismissed. Of course, they want to tax the cost to the defendant. Let's identify the defendant. Well, the defendant is Keith Little. What's the number that's attached to them? Is that the case number? Because that'll identify the record. So if you're saying the record is the defendant, because it's got to have that enumeration. You understand? And this is the principle again, folks. It's not you that owes the debt. They're not charging you. They're charging the number. It's the number that's listed as the obligor pertaining to the record.
Yep, got to fix that record.
Instinctive Archer says, question was aimed at the one who claims AI can hack crypto. Yeah, and that's why I say I didn't know where it was coming from, but I think it's highly unlikely anybody can hack crypto because they can't actually take anything out of the chain. What they can do is try to color it, kind of like color of law. They can try to kind of color it. But even then, the system can recognize that because everything's got its timestamp. So if they see something that's actually created in fiction, like I was explaining, which they can do, they can make a rape scene and put you right in the middle of it and put that before a jury. But again, if that's a true video, you can break it down cryptologically by those timestamps. Pick each one apart. That's how infinite this gets now and intricate. They can take each timestamp. And it's amazing how fast they can go by.
Yep,
Anyway.
that's why it's beneficial to learn all this stuff, you know. You don't want to be left behind and then all of a sudden be in the midst of it, not knowing what's going on.
Yeah, I was at the forefront, and this is one of the things that I'm kind of discouraged about today is because I put it down and I quit going with it. I had different things I wanted to do in my life. One of them, of course, was computer programming. One was photography. And, of course, I wanted to be in the military. And I put down the computer programming, decided I was going to do military. But while I was in the military, I was going to learn about photography. And that was going to be my major or whatever. I wanted to be very artistic, you could say. But things didn't happen the right way. And
or did they?
Well, yeah, and I kind of wonder. I kind of wonder sometimes because there are a lot of different things in my life that just, to me, they're kind of like a spiritual awakening or something, or just an odd event, or the way things worked out were odd, and it's just amazing how to be able to look back at it and learn from it the differences of how I think about things today. I can look back at many things in my life, and for instance, the death of my son. Today I can think about the death of my son, and it's still so surreal. But I can objectively look at it and put it in the perspective that I'm supposed to, and understand that it's not an emotional it's not an emotional space. It might have been an emotional event. And this is why I say, a lot of people see me as being an angry guy because I'm so passionate. So I'm still working on that too. But it's all an internal thing. And the more I work on that, the better my environment will be, and the better I'll be able to pass this stuff that I know along, and the better it will be received. And that's the important thing. Again, it's not me as a messenger, it's the message. That's the only thing I'm here for. I don't care what anybody really says. If you're going to conflict with that, that's okay. But I'm still going to do my best to pass the message.
Well, I've seen some major growth in you in the last couple of weeks, man, on your streams alone. Like, there is no drama here, and I love that fact.
Well, yeah, and that's because of my own choosing. And while I'm at it, I do have to remind people once again, I really don't want you emailing me with the drama and stuff. Despite the fact that people on those platforms think I'm Daisy May. Let them think I'm Daisy May. I don't care. Let them talk about me. I don't care. Again, it's not about me. It's about the message. And if that's the message you want to listen to, then go listen to it. See where it gets you. it's not going to get you the education of learning how to fish, if you know what I mean.
Exactly. Yep, you can't just sit there and say, you suck at fishing. I'm way better than you at fishing. You suck.
Well,
That's
yeah,
not a help.
and let alone to accept a fish from a guy that's going to give you a rotten fish. Come on.
Yeah, right.
Let's really deal with what the truth is. So anyway, we're on our way out. You got anything else, guys?
Not really. Just that I appreciate you keep going on with all the info. It's a big help.
Well, like I said, I'll be back with another one. I can't remember exactly which one it was, but I mentioned I was going to do a review of 2 more videos at least in regards to the Postal Service. So I will come back and do that one in the next few days or so too.
Awesome.
You got anything
All
for
right.
us, sister? Sister I Man, you got anything for us?
She must be AFK.
Yep. All right. Well, we're out, guys. I want
All
to thank
right.
everybody for your support. Please hit that like, share, and subscribe button on the way out. There's a PayPal link down in the details section for anybody that wants to share some love. And of course, remember, I love you. I don't give a rat's ass whether you love me back. And that's to say, I don't care if you hate me. So may God bless you and have a good night. Bye now.